I was not young, I was your time. I was curious and young. All right. It's happening. It's happening. It's time. It's time for this. Are you people out there on the internet ready to experience another Ideas of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones live stream? It's been a minute since I've done a live stream dedicated to Game of Thrones specifically, and I want to say that the last one was back probably when season 7 was airing. I don't think I really. Yeah, so it's time to do another one. It's time to give my official predictions about season 8 of Game of Thrones, and it's exciting. Like the trailer was really like it looked good, so it was like we're gonna get the spectacle we need, and everyone is pretty much expecting everyone to just be dropping like flies this next season. You're gonna see them dropping like flies. All the major characters. Let's see. What's up, Gray Area? What's going on? So me and Gray Area had some stuff planned for you guys too, so be on the lookout for that. And if you're not subscribed to Gray Area, you should totally check out her channel. She focuses more on the show than I do. So if you're kind of like, oh, Ideas of Ice and Fire doesn't talk about the show as much anymore, then Gray Area is perfect because she does a lot of show stuff. You know, I do a lot of stuff hating on the show. Yeah, that's what I'm good at apparently. So the only thing I'm good at, if you pay attention to the top comments on my videos that are critical of the show. How's everybody out there in the on the YouTube land? You guys doing good? You guys doing good? Everyone's having a great day. It's not the weekend, is it? What's today? Today's like Tuesday or Wednesday. I never know what day it is. It's not, yeah. So everyone having a good week so far. It's Hump Day, right? Is Thursday Hump Day or Wednesday? I don't remember. Whatever. Don't pay attention to me. I'm an idiot. All right. Yeah, how's it going, guys? What's up? When Winds of Winter comes out, I'll read it and then watch season 8 and laugh my ass off. Yeah, surprisingly, a lot of you guys, I've been seeing a lot of your comments saying that you don't even watch the show anymore, that you're not even watching, that you don't even care. So that's interesting that a lot of people. I could never not care because I feel like I'm too invested. I have to see what they do and I have to watch it at least. And then also people are gonna expect me to review every episode anyway. So it's like might as well give the people what they want and need. But I kind of dialed back those critical videos a little bit because I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to just constantly hate on the show all the time and have that be all that I'm putting out. So I'm hoping that this season, hopefully it gives me some stuff to analyze and, to talk about why it's good and not so bad. But then maybe it won't. If it's terrible, then it's terrible. Nothing I can do about that. All that I can do is be honest about it. Yeah. The show is kind of, yeah, I get that. Why not, Dean? Yeah, I get that feeling too. That it's kind of like a beautiful train wreck. Not saying that, not saying that there's not parts that I love, but this isn't a critical stream. Let's get a little bit less serious. Oh, I don't know. Okay. Let's get to some predictions. Let's get to some death predictions because I've been thinking a little bit about this, about who they're gonna kill and who they're not gonna kill. All right, and okay, I'm gonna do it like this. All right, I'm gonna start off with I guess Tyrion and Samwell because I've been thinking about these two in kind of the same way. I feel like either Tyrion or Sam will survive to the end, but not both. It'll either be Tyrion that at the end of this writes down the story and be like, oh, this is the Song of Ice and Fire. Because I feel like we're going to have that moment, even though it's kind of reminiscent of The Lord of the Rings. I feel like you'll have that moment at the end. Oh, someone will be writing a book or something, and then they kind of turn to the front page, and it's a Song of Ice and Fire or something like that. Someone that lives to tell the story, and I feel like that's either Tyrion or Sam. But honestly, I've been leaning more towards Sam because Sam is with Bran, and Bran knows if Bran dies, which I think that's a possibility too, then Sam will be the one that's been with him for a little bit and has gotten some of that information on the magical side, on the esoteric side, so he understands that a little bit better. So he'd be better. I guess Sam is in a slightly better position to tell the story than Tyrion, but Tyrion also has some advantages that Sam doesn't have, even though Sam's been to. He's seen the White Walkers firsthand. He's talked to Bran. He's survived the White Walkers. But Tyrion has done a lot of crap too. He's not on the magical side, but he's been like imprisoned in the Eyrie, and he's been the Hand of King's Landing, and he's been to the east with Daenerys. So he has a big chunk of the story to tell as well. All right, but I think it'll either be one of them. So I'm seeing either Tyrion or Samwell dying, and then we'll see if I'm right on that. But so far, I'm leaning towards Tyrion dies, Samwell lives to write it all down. That's what I'm leaning towards on that front. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let me know how you guys feel about that. About yeah, because I guess there are some instances, I guess, where they could both live, and then Tyrion just goes off and does something else. But I'm wondering what Tyrion's role could be if he's not telling the story. But then again, I think back to Makoro in, I think it's A Dance of Dragons, I'm pretty sure, where he says to Tyrion, I see dragons, young and old, true and false, and I see you, a small man, big shadow, snarling in the midst of it. And I've talked to you guys about what I feel that means before. And I basically feel that means that Tyrion is very physically a small man, but his shadow, as in his influence, is far-reaching. What's up, Bernie? We were on that stream. We streamed on LML's channel the other day. How's it going? How's it going? So that's how I feel about that. But yeah, but like I said, leaning towards Tyrion's death. Leaning toward Tyrion dying. Okay, who do I want to move on to next? Okay, let's go. Let's go to another dynamic. Let's go to another what's called dichotomy. Either Arya or Sansa. So definitely they're killing one of them, but I don't think they're gonna kill both. So this is another dichotomy that I'm thinking of. So okay. How do I say this? I don't want this to come off the wrong way. But okay, so feminists really love Sansa because Sansa is kind of like a feminist icon because she's one of those characters that is very feminine in nature, and she never really compromises her femininity, but there is also a certain strength to Sansa that's kind of like a feminine strength. Whereas like Arya, she kind of, though she is female, she embodies a kind of masculine strength. And what I have seen on the internet, I've seen this kind of sub fan group grow around Sansa that really, really love Sansa and that are really protective over Sansa, and that really want Sansa to be the head of the North in the end. And if I look at the trend in the show so far, these last few seasons, at catering to what the fan base wants and catering to what the internet wants, then I feel like most likely, I think Arya is going to get the axe, and that Sansa is going to live on. And I've been getting that. I got that vibe last season that it was kind of like they were setting Sansa up to be the one that pulls through and lives in the end. And watching the trailer, there are some hints that Arya's put into real danger, actually. But yeah, I've been getting that vibe for a little bit, and the more that I think about it, I think that in the show they're going to kill off Arya, and Sansa will probably live on in the end, and probably remain at Winterfell and be there after all of this ends. Hamza Amir says, "Is Euron going to bang Cersei?" And honestly, I don't think so. A lot of people have. Let me turn my phone off because it's gonna. A lot of people have been bringing up this Euron Cersei thing. Is Cersei pregnant with Euron's child? Is Euron gonna get with Cersei and da 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 da? I don't think that's happening. I don't think that Cersei's gonna sleep with Euron. Now I don't know exactly what Euron is planning. I could see like some kind of double cross with something with the Golden Company, maybe like something fishy there, perhaps. But as far as Cersei sleeping with Euron, I don't see Cersei in the show being in the position that she is, where she basically has all the cards, sleeping with Euron. Like, what is the purpose? I don't understand the purpose of it, you know? And then also, I'm pretty sure in the show that Euron is just an idiot. I mean, they could. I guess there is still some time for them to bring in some of those Euron characteristics from the books, where he's more calculating, and it would be a good twist. But my money is on he is just a dumb idiot. I could be wrong on that, and I actually hope that I'm wrong. I'm hoping that there's a twist, and that he double crosses Cersei, and then we get a hint of that evil, calculating, Machiavellian schemer Euron from the book. But I'm not betting on it. And with all the evidence that we have so far, it seems like Cersei's got this one. But it's curious to see her in the trailer. Let me go to that little clip I talked to. By the way, let's talk about this one too. Since we moved on to Cersei, let's talk about Cersei. I think Cersei looks rather smug here, doesn't she? Like, what is this look? So I think these ships here are probably sailing to King's Landing, obviously, because Euron went to go get the Golden Company for Cersei or whatever, or that's why they're on Greyjoy ships. And I thought this was, upon my initial reaction, I thought this was Brienne, but clearly this is probably Harry Strickland or something like that, and the Golden Company. I don't know why I thought it was Brienne, the armor or something reminded me. So I'm thinking that at this point, Cersei is probably seeing the ships, so she could be in for some kind of double cross. And maybe that's what leads to this moment where she looks kind of, she's dressed down. It looks like, is she in the, I can't tell if she's in the throne room or not, but she's dressed down. Her eyes are a little bit watery. It seems like she's kind of almost given up, like she's resigned to her fate. Like she's like, I'm ready to die. She's like, whatever comes from this point happens and I accept it. Oh, thank you so much, Sanrixian, for the super chat. You are awesome. Thank you so much. It says, Rule Morn, and I want to know how you feel about Clegane. Get hype. Get hype for Clegane. I don't. Honestly, it would be cool to see the Hound overcome his fear of fire and then set his brother on fire. Or maybe, like, there's like a burning pit, and like Sandor, like just like let's say okay. Here's a scenario. Here's a scenario. I look like the guy from Ancient Aliens. Here's my scenario. All right, so like the mountain is like about to kill Sansa, right? And there's like fire pit like on the ground somewhere for no reason. And then like the Hound is all like freaking out because there's fire everywhere and chaos. Because there's that one scene where we kind of see it where there's like some fire right here. There's like some fire and he's like kind of freaked out. And then like he wants to save Sansa, but he's afraid of fire and he's freaked out. His brother's right there, and in that last moment, he like runs, he charges into his brother, and like they both fall into the pit, the fiery pit. But Sansa is alive, but the Hound conquers his brother and conquers his fear of fire at the same time, and then that's the end of them both. Because I don't think the Hound's living. I'm pretty sure he's gonna die. He's too broken for this world. The man's too broken for this world. He needs to move on. His time has passed, moving into a new era. But anyways, I kind of went off track because I was talking about Cersei. You guys know how much. You guys know how much I love Queen Cersei over there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but like over there, I've got the Night King and Cersei together, the true king and queen of Westeros, chilling out, having a good old time. But yeah, you guys know how much I love Cersei. More so in the show than in the books. I feel like she's a better character. Well, not a better character. I feel like she's more relatable in the show, and then just Lena Headey just brought her to life incredibly. And she's such a layered and complex character. Dare I say a little bit more complex than even Martin's character. And I feel like that's because they started off with a really good base, but then in the show they added in some more human characteristics and made her more dynamic, and that's why she equals out to, I feel like, a better character in the show. And I just really admire Lena Headey's acting, and she's just been such a great villain and then great kind of protagonist at some points because, like, Cersei, I think she gained a lot of people when she went through that trial, when she got imprisoned, and I think a lot of people moved over to Cersei's side. But I've always thought she was kind of cool and sassy, and just like ever since that they added that scene, because this wasn't in the books either, that scene in season 2 where Littlefinger's like doing his thing with Cersei, and he's all like, "Knowledge is power," and she's like, "Oh, really, bitch?" And she's like, "Cut his throat, cut his throat. Step back 3 paces, close your eyes." And she walks up to him and she says, "Power is power." Ever since that point, I was like, "Wow, this is a way better version of Cersei." So it's just like I dig Cersei, and I don't want to see Cersei go. I would love it if Cersei and the Night King murdered everybody else, and then Cersei turned to the dark side and she became the Night Queen. If they did that, oh my god, it would shock everybody. And then I would feel so smug because I've been saying that for so long. But I would love it if that happened, but I don't know if it will. I think the most reasonable course would be Cersei meets her demise. And if I'm reading the signs correctly, and if the show has truly become basic bitch, and it's totally gone full on basic bitch mode now, then I feel like probably Euron is gonna kill Cersei. All right, but they could shock me. But if I've been reading the cues for the last season and a half, I think that where they're going is they're probably gonna have Euron kill Cersei, even though I would much prefer something different happen. But it seems like, and I know I said that I think Euron's an idiot, but it seems like he's almost too stupid, right? It seems like Euron's almost too stupid. Like it's like he's like it's almost a misdirection, right? Because like it's like it's trying to lower our expectations of him. So when he comes through with the knife in Cersei's back, then it's like, oh. I mean, I guess it's not basic, but it is kind of basic. It's kind of the obvious direction. I mean, like considering the formula that the show has shifted into at this point. Like a lot of the deaths recently, pretty much most of them have been very predictable. Like if you look at just like the formula they've created now, like back in the earlier seasons, it was kind of like, oh my god, who's gonna die? Even though I've read the books, it's still like people watching it's like, oh my god, who's gonna die? Oh, I'm not calling your theory basic, bitch. I'm just I mean, it's that's an idea. That's an idea that I'm just saying that's like the common like thread of thinking. That's where it seems like it's gonna go. But I would like if they kind of surprised us all and went in a different direction. I feel like that would be more dramatic almost. Even if Euron ends up being Cersei's demise in the book, I mean they've changed enough at this point that like changing that, I don't know, doesn't matter. And it does seem like Cersei and Euron are going to get together in the book. It seems like they're going to come together. And then, everyone always talks about the Valonqar from the prophecy. Let me get the super chat real quick. I didn't see it. Lady Dreamfire, will the Night King destroy Winterfell? Thank you, Quinn. I love everything you do. I'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, that Valonqar thing, if I remember correctly, you guys can help me on this. Is that in the show, or did they cut that out? Is the Valonqar part in the show, or did they cut that out when she goes to the hot version of Maggie the Frog and she gives her the prophecy? Because I know part of it was cut. I think the Valonqar part was part of it, and that just basically means little brother. Like part of it in the book was that the little brother would strangle the life from her. And I know a lot of people were saying that it might be Euron because he is a little brother. So like yeah, the threads are there. The threads are there. But I feel like, oh, come on, give me something strange and different. Like I feel like this show would really throw everyone off. Yeah, they cut it out. I thought so. They would throw everyone off if they did something different. And I think Cersei Night Queen. I know I'm not getting it. It's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream. Whatever. Let me get to your super chat though. You said, do I think the Night King will destroy Winterfell? All right, that was definitely a dramatic moment, like seeing everyone like here, lined up outside of Winterfell. It's so nuts, waiting for the dead to come destroy Winterfell. I hope not. Like it's Winterfell might. I'm pretty sure it seems like Winterfell is going to be the first front. This is where they. This is the first big battle. So, God, that ancient, gorgeous castle. I hope it's not destroyed. Okay. My thing is, the people that built Winterfell probably believed in the White Walkers because they wouldn't have been so far removed, right? From when that happened. Like Winterfell is the oldest castle in Westeros, right? So maybe there's something about the way Winterfell is built that helps fight White Walkers. And didn't Ned or somebody say something like 1,000,000 men could be outside the walls of Winterfell? Or 10,000 or something like that. I don't know how many. There's probably like 100,000, maybe hundreds of thousand White Walkers. But maybe there's something about Winterfell that lends the castle to being having characteristics that could better protect against White Walkers than just some other place. So that would be interesting. Destroy Winterfell. I feel like that would be such a shame. It's such a shame to destroy such a historic, awesome castle. I'm hoping that they. I'm hoping that that doesn't happen because we've got Daenerys and her dragons. We've got the Night King and his dragon. See, the dragon is what I'm most afraid about. That dragon. I remember Harrenhal. All right. So if you don't know the story of Harrenhal in the books and in the show, it's basically the same. So you had Harren the Black, who was like one of the Ironborn, and he built this big castle, Harrenhal, right? Biggest castle ever. And he's like, I'm gonna live here have a dynasty for 1,000 years here in this castle. Uh, that was until Aegon, Daenerys' ancestor, came. And he said, Harren, bend the knee. And Harren was like, no, your dragon, stone doesn't burn, he says to Aegon. And then Aegon says to him, when the sun sets, your line will end, is what Aegon said to him. And when the sun set, Aegon took Balerion the Black Dread, the largest dragon that has ever lived, flew him into the clouds, up into the moon, and swooped down on Harren and his men and set the castle ablaze. And it wasn't just stone that burnt, it was hay and cloth and flesh, and it was horrible. And so we've got the Night King now that has a dragon that's been like magically improved. That's like that dragon. That's from that scene last season. Looked faster to me than to Dany's dragons. It looked faster, and it also looked more vicious and more brutal. Like it's fearing nothing. Like it's like I'm already dead. It's like the White Walkers. Like White Walkers are harder to fight than regular men because they're already dead. They don't care. It's like I'm just gonna kill you no matter what. So let's see the damage that this dragon could do. And with Winterfell being the first battlefront, I could see Winterfell taking some serious damage. And it would be a very dramatic moment because Winterfell is a place that we've had from the very beginning, and that it's always been. I'm not gonna say it's always been safe because Theon took it, but it's always been that place. It's like, and then when Winterfell came back to the Starks, it was like such a great moment, and then to see it just taken away and just like really destroyed this time would just be like, oh my god. But like I said, I'm hoping that there's something special about Winterfell that's been yet to be revealed that can protect it from the White Walkers. Because like I said, there's always been something off about those crypts, and also oldest castle in Westeros. They knew about the White Walkers back then. Maybe they put in magic. So let's see. Like I have the weird idea that maybe even the crypts are connected to like the caves of the Children of the Forest. Why not? There's a werewood tree. I mean, we'll see. I mean, there's got to be a reason too that Bran. Let's talk about this. There's got to be a reason that Bran came to Winterfell, right? Like Bran lost everything about himself. Like when Mira left, he didn't even care. So there's got to be a reason that he came to Winterfell. If he needed to go somewhere else, he would have gone somewhere else. So it's like, is there something in Winterfell, like that tree maybe, or just anything? Like he knows that he has to be there because there's something here. He needs to be here, and he needs to be present here when the Night King attacks, or something like that. I feel like there's some magical element to this that we might be missing. Okay. So, Lauren, you're telling me that you have a bunker theory. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to take a look at that. I'll have to take a look at that. Okay. Okay. I'm looking at the chat now. I'm going to see if you guys have some questions. I'm not done talking about my predictions yet. I still got some more to come. But, like, how are you guys feeling about some of the stuff that I'm saying? Wonder if we'll see Mira again. I'm hoping so. Like, Mira needs... I want to see everyone come out and fight. I want to see that Direwolf, too. Lorena Castillo says, under the pond. I don't know. We might be getting... Oh, that'd be interesting. I think I know what you mean. That's kind of like... In some of the takes on Arthurian legends, like the Vivian, the Lady of the Lake, takes Excalibur from the bottom of an ocean, I think in some of them. They're all different. So it's like, there's like a pond. Well, it's a lake. So she gets Excalibur from the bottom of a lake. So maybe Jon, Lightbringer, somebody Lightbringer at the bottom of that pond. It'd be a different take on like on Arthurian myth. So that'd be interesting. I'm pretty certain that Brienne will die in Jaime's arms. There's a minor foreshadowing in early seasons when she said, "Who would want to die defending a Lannister?" That would be poetic. I wasn't going to talk about Brienne yet, but since you said that, I might as well get to this. I think you're right. I think you're right. And it's because, okay, Jaime and Brienne definitely have a connection. All right, I don't know if it's going to blossom into full-on, I love you so much, I want to have sex with you. I don't know if it's going to be that, but it's definitely some kind of bond. All right. And the only man that Brienne ever really loved was Renly Baratheon. And he died in her arms. So I think it's very poetic to have Brienne die in Jaime's arms. And then, yeah, so I think that would be interesting. But I don't want Brienne to die, but it's almost like she might be too good for this world. She might be too good for this world. If I have to flip a coin, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, also Tormund and Brienne have this thing, right? I think Tormund's gonna kick the bucket this season. So it would kind of almost be too sad to kill them both, wouldn't it? It's almost like too sad, right, to kill them both. I don't want to, like, because I think about that moment in Harry Potter where you have, God, what's his name? Oh, what's his name? Professor Lupin and his wife. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Spoilers, super spoilers about the end of Harry Potter. But like at the end of that movie, after the big battle, and they're both like laying side by side, and I'm like, oh my God, they're both dead. I don't want to see Brienne and Tormund laying side by side. That's like too much. That's like way too much. Brienne. If I have to put all my bets in now, I'm saying Tormund gets the axe. Brienne lives on. Putting that in right there. Just by a hair, I think Brienne's gonna live. Just by a hair, just by a slither. Remus and Tonks. Yep. The Hound dies, but kills the Mountain before enduring. See, that's what I said earlier. I feel like it's gonna be a situation with some fire, and possibly the Mountain messing with Sansa, trying to hurt her. It's just me putting it out there, and then like the Hound like charges at him, throws them both into the fire. The Hound dies, and the Mountain dies, but Sansa lives. That's something like that, something like that. But I feel like it's got to have something to do with fire. I feel like that's extremely important, and I've always thought this. I don't know if I've ever said it, but I feel like if the Hound challenges his brother for one last time, it's got to have something to do with fire. Because that initial incident where, what's his name? It's Sandor and, his name is slipping. What is his name? Gregor. Like when Gregor pushed his head on the coals and he burnt his face. I feel like that's such a significant moment. That's the reason that he's afraid of fire. So I need to see conquering his fear, also killing his brother, probably dying in the process. Saving someone. That part is very important because I think that a crucial part. One of the things I think this was last season. One of the most striking moments for me was when Sandor came across the man and his daughter who he had robbed when he was with Arya in the earlier season, in the earlier seasons. And he is, even though he knew they would die, he even said earlier, like, they'll be dead by winter. He even said at that point that they'd be dead. So it was like, but then he sees them and how, like, the father had taken his daughter's life, taken his own life, so they wouldn't starve. And he feels enormously guilty. Like that guilt. You can just see it. So guilty that he like buries the bodies, and that's like a callback to his gravedigger whole thing from the book. But I felt like that was an extraordinarily powerful moment, and I feel like before Sandor dies, he needs to have that moment where he saves someone's life and is redeemed and conquers his fear of fire, possibly killing his brother. We'll see. They almost have to do that at this point right now. People have been like giving them the Clegane Bowl hype for years at this point, so it's like you gotta might as well do it at this point, right? Might as well do it at this point. But yeah, the Hound, that was a great moment. Let's see who else. Who else do I want to talk about? I talked about Arya. Let's not do Jon and Dany yet. Let's wait. But who else do I got to talk about? What about Qyburn? Qyburn's out of here. Qyburn's gone. Creepy Dr. Frankenstein. Qyburn's gone. You're gone. You're gone. I'm hoping that Bronn goes. I don't care, people. You can get mad at me. Bronn sucks. I don't care. I don't care. I know you love Bronn. I know he tells good jokes. But yeah, Bronn could screw off. Bronn's dead. He better be dead. Should have been dead like 2 seasons ago. Like, come on. Bronn. You know, if Bronn really was, if he lived by his code and if he really was about his own shit, he would have been out of here a long time ago, I feel like. He would have gotten his shit and gotten out. Like, because I would not, if I was Bronn, like, I would be robbing the Lannisters blind. I would have been robbing Jaime Lannister blind from the moment that, like, I would have been collecting so much dough at this point, and I would have been off somewhere else as soon as I knew about the White Walkers. Like, Bronn even was like, after the whole dragon thing, he goes, "Oh, I'm out of here. I don't deal with dragons." And then literally a couple episodes later, he's like back with them, like he didn't just say that. Like you didn't. You just said that the last time we saw you, and you're already back. What? What? No, there's. Okay, if you had a scene in between that explained why he changed his mind, then okay. But it's just like, okay, he says that in one scene. Next scene, he's just back to serving them for no reason. What? That just really just like what? That's so stupid. Jorah's out of here. Jorah's gone. Jorah's finished. Jorah is definitely gone. Let me find that image of Jorah. This is where Jorah's dying. Jorah's dying right here. Look at his face. This is Jorah's end. Right here. Calling it. I might be wrong. I don't want to get too cocky, but I'm calling it. See this moment right here? This is the end of Jorah. It's the end. He's finished. He's dying in this early battle, early on, because it's like, dude, he's been in the friend zone for so long. Just give him. He needs release. He needs to be set free, because, dude, it's like it's not happening for you. Like at this point, like Jon Snow's in the picture. I'm so sorry, Jorah. You tried. It was okay. Look. Okay, I don't hate Jorah, right? I've always given him a harder time. All right, if you just watch the show, you're probably like, why are you always like kind of shit on Jorah? But in the book, Jorah is kind of a creep. So it's kind of like he's kind of a creep, and like when Daenerys banishes him in the book, it's much less, oh poor Jorah, and more like, wow, you deserve that, asshole. And then and then he's kind of a weirdo creep. So it's just like, sorry. Sorry, I have a little bit of bias. You know, it's not that I don't like him, and I certainly like can't, Ian McClellan. Ian McClellan? What's his name? Ian something. I certainly like that actor, but it's like, you gotta go, Jorah. It's time to go. You've served your purpose, I feel like, and I'm sure it'll be a cool moment. I'm sure Daenerys will give one of her faces. I'm sure the face that she gives when Jorah dies will be just as impactful as the face that she gave when Viserion died, which was basically just and then move on. It's like she's so concerned about Jon Snow that it's like my dragon dies and it's just and then she's staring, waiting for Jon Snow, like fuck the dragon, whatever. We'll see. Oh, Masande and Grey Worm. See, okay, I'm thinking we gotta have one happy couple at the end of this. So maybe Masande and Grey Worm live, right? Even though I've always felt like these two characters were such apart, I felt like they were cool and they did their roles. But then together, they're just a waste of time. It's just like a kind of. Okay, look, I'm gonna poll the audience. Does anybody, does anybody out there care at all about the Missandei and Grey Worm romance? Does anybody? Because I never have. I don't know anybody that ever has. Like my friends that watch Game of Thrones but have never read the books. If I say Missandei or Grey Worm, they don't know who I'm talking about. They're like, who? Oh, the dude that has no penis. Oh, the hot chick that's with Daenerys. It's like no one even knows who these. Like, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I could see them living. I could see them living. They're kind of they're whatever. They're kind of like they're both meh. They're both meh. Okay. Gilly's living. Gilly and Baby Sam are living. I could almost see a cool twist. Everyone's the chat's going crazy. They're just like, nope. I got one. I do. So I got a few issues. Yeah. As far as Gilly and Sam, I already said that I think Sam's living, but I think Gilly's living as well, and I think the baby's probably going to live. But it would be a cool twist. A lot of people have had this theory and thought this idea if the White Walkers come for the baby. And like, oh, that'd be kind of sick. Like they come for the baby and they take the baby, or that'd be really cool if they did that. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I feel like that would be such a full circle moment. Like, oh my god. Like, it's from like when did Gilly show up in season 2? So from season 2, we've known they're giving these babies to the White Walkers, and like these White Walkers come for the boy. So if like they get beyond the wall, they're gonna sense that baby no matter what. And where are they now? They're at Winterfell, right? They're all at Winterfell, so they're gonna come for that baby, I feel like. But I still feel like Sam and Gilly are living. Yeah. Sunday and Grey Worm race John and Danny's baby. Oh man. I don't want to hate, but I just feel like that Gilly and Sunday romance is just like whatever, move on. Just whatever, move on. Like I don't want to waste too much time on it. Okay. Who we need to talk about? So I looked at this picture. This is okay, yeah. I think this is Dolorous Ed, even though it's kind of dark. So it looks like Dolorous Ed, Beric Dondarrion, and Tormund Giantsbane. Alright, so Beric is dying. Beric is not about to live through the season when he's already dead in the books, so like they're definitely killing Beric. Tormund's dead. I think it would be awesome if Dolorous Ed lived on. Because Dolorous Ed, he's so funny in the book. Like, do you guys get what I mean? Like, because it's like it's not like Dolorous Ed tries to be funny, but it's like I don't know. Okay, so there's one part in the book where like someone when they're voting for the Lord Commander, and someone puts Ed's name in the thing, and Ed's all like, I don't know who put my name in this, but I don't want to be Lord Commander. And it's like, it's so funny. But yeah, I would love it if Ed lived and survived and was just stayed Lord Commander. I just like him. He's a charming character. It's kind of like an everyman's man. He's just a guy who's just kind of like trying to just like kind of live, do his thing. Just a regular old guy. That's why I like Ed. He's not like particularly charming or interesting or smart. He's just like a regular old guy, and that's kind of why I like him. That's kind of why I like him. Oh, did I not talk about Euron? I think Euron's somehow Euron's getting it. Euron's not living to the end. Euron is getting it. I'm curious to see if Illyria Sand will have an appearance this season, because the last we saw of Illyria Sand, she was chained up in the dungeon, but we did see her die. So I wonder if we're gonna get like a starved, dying, decrepit version of Illyria in Cersei's dungeon, like she's been keeping her alive this entire time. Because she did tell her that, like, your whole life is going to be to watch your daughter rot. So, like, it takes... I don't know exactly how long it takes for all of the flesh to rot from a corpse, but, like, I imagine that it takes a couple months, maybe? I don't know. Not like a biologist or anthropologist or anything. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, God, yeah. The direwolves, that's a huge problem, I feel like. Um, Not to spend a whole bunch of time complaining, but I feel like the direwolves is such a huge problem. We get a lot of dragon scenes. Get a lot of dragon stuff. They show the dragons like 3 or 4 times in this trailer. And if you remember back to the earlier seasons, like we got the dragons in like 3 episodes, maybe a season. So now it's like they just show them and show them and show them, but there's no direwolves. They just killed them all. It's like they decided to completely focus on the dragons, which is an interesting choice. And I'm wondering how much of this actually has to do with the CGI budget. I don't know. Their CGI looks phenomenal. I'm not like a CGI person. I don't know everything about CGI and all that stuff. But like I'm saying, I do have eyes, and I do edit for a living, and I dabble. Some 3D animation and visuals I took classes on, and I dabble a little bit. I get it. I get how it works, is what I'm saying. Though I am not an expert. So I look at those dragons, and I see the exact same character model for every dragon. Like, they're not distinct. Every dragon is, all 3 of them are the same. Except maybe the Night King one. That one's like a little bit different. Slightly. But like they've always been the same character model. They always use the same character model, and they change the colors slightly. So it's like, and really the ones that I've seen in the trailer, they don't really look any different from the models from last season. Like they changed them slightly up until like season 5, I want to say, and then Drogon from season 5 is basically the same as like all the rest of them, just like slightly bigger. They did have some new, like, more detailed renderings later on, but, like, for the most part, when you're seeing the dragons, you're seeing, like, the same model for every single dragon, is what I'm saying. So, how much can it really cost to reproduce to do these animations versus, like, getting a direwolf in a couple of times? Because, like, the way they did the direwolves pretty much all the time was they would have an actual animal. It wasn't a CGI direwolf. It was an actual animal. And then they filmed it, and then they would like mix it in. Yeah, Dany's direwolf is bigger, but it's still the same model.
Motion detected at the front door.
It's still the same exact model, is what I'm saying. The dragons is more than half the budget. See, that's interesting. Is it? Because okay. See, my theory is that the actors are demanding more cash. Like, we know that's a fact. Like, wasn't Dany getting paid something like $2 million an episode or something? Like, I don't know if it was quite that much, but they're getting paid a lot. Like Dany, Jon, Cersei, Jaime, they're all getting paid way more they were when the season when the show first started. Was that really loud? I'll turn down these speakers. It was my stupid, what to call it. So you're saying a lot of budget goes to the dragons. I'm sure. I'm sure it's a lot. I'm sure it's a lot. Like I said, I'm not like an expert on any of this. But I'm saying, like, what? Like, can we not get like I'm either kill Ghost or like at least remind us that he exists. Kill Ghost or like I mean like it's kind of a shame that direwolves were initially set up in the show to be such a big part, to be such like, oh man, direwolves, like they're each of these kids are getting a direwolf are given a direwolf, and it's like, oh, this is a big thing, and then to have them like kind of all the direwolves I feel like also have been killed off so just unceremoniously. It like just sucks. Like the lady death was in the book, so whatever. But then Rickon's wolf and Summer, oh Summers was the worst. Just like a whelp and that's it. Just stabbed to death by a bunch of White Walkers, and it was like, just like so uncaring. It's just like, oh my god, that one upset me. And then also that same episode, like I was very disappointed by season 6. I know that's some people's favorite season, but to me, season 6 was the reason it was so bad for me was because it was. I felt like there were just a lot of missed opportunities. I felt like uh, the way they handled the Bloodraven stuff and the Children of the Forest, it was kind of like just get him in and out. It's like get him in and out. It's like, okay, we'll give the Children of the Forest like 2 episodes and just kill them. It was not enough for this for Bran's entire arc up until this point to be, I'm going to this place to see the fantastical three-eyed raven, and for them to kill them so quickly and so like unceremoniously and so lame. It was just like, ugh, you guys can. I just feel like they didn't care. They didn't care about the Children of the Forest. They didn't care about the fantasy element, like because that's something that I get really excited about. Like, oh my god, I want to be in this space more. I want to know more about the esoteric. I want to know more about what's going on in the werewolf net and what went on in the past and what's happening. But it was just like, oh, just rushed, and they just. It was upsetting. Like season 6 just really just bothered me a lot for that reason alone. But yeah, and I'm wondering if they're even gonna get into any of like I feel like I've said esoteric a lot, but I'm wondering if they're gonna get into any of the esoteric stuff in this final season, which is kind of the last opportunity. But I don't think so, because in season 7, the way they handled Bran was just so lackluster and just uncaring. It was just like they don't give a shit. They're gonna give us the general smoke and mirrors, which is fine. No, it's not fine, but I guess I have to accept it. In my opinion, they shrunk the direwolf part because they shrunk the skin changing plot. They did. They did. They completely just. Yeah, it's quite different because it's like in the show, Bran's a skin changer, but then it ends up. It doesn't seem like it matters that much. It does not seem like it matters that much that Bran has superpowers. At least not yet. Um, But in the books, as we all know, all the Stark children have those abilities. Bran is just the most powerful. But yeah, he doesn't matter anymore, which is why at this point I'm questioning whether or not he even lives to the end. I mean, I guess if he dies, he goes inside of the werewood net, but it's like it doesn't seem like he matters anymore. All right. So if you guys have been enjoying the stream so far, feel free to leave a like, because likes really help. And I saw it earlier before I even started the stream, it had like 3 dislikes. So people just hating on it before it even like starts because I don't know, they see me streaming and they're just like, fuck you for no reason. But whatever. So like just give me a like to discount that. And also, if you want, you can check out this channel on Patreon and give me like $1 a month. And I do live streams on there and I post some content. And yeah, so you can check me out on Patreon. And cool. Alright, so let's move on to Jon and Dany. Everyone wants to talk about Jon and Dany. So let's get to it. See, these 2 characters, I'm really conflicted. I would say Jon and Dany more than anyone. I don't know what's going to happen to them. I feel like they could go one of two ways. It could go, well, obviously it can go one of two ways. Well, there's multiple ways. Okay, but let's see. How do I say this? These are the two characters where I honestly say I don't know. I don't know if they're going to kill Jon Snow again. I feel like that would kind of be like, oh, he died before and now he's dead again. That's kind of weird. But Daenerys hasn't died yet. And Daenerys is Misa. And then there's also, I know everyone always talks about the Azor Ahai prophecy thing, the Nisa, the sword through the heart of the lover. They could do that. Honestly, though, it's kind of hard for me to care. You're saying Dany's already pregnant. She could be. She could be because it seems like there's some hints in the book that the witch's prophecy was just kind of smoke and mirrors because it seems like Dany gets pregnant by his daughter in the books and then eats some berries and miscarries later on. So it does seem like she is still actually fertile. His daughter or Dario could be either one, but she miscarries. It seems like so she could be fertile. But I don't know if we really have time for like a whole baby, a whole child. Like how long is this really gonna take to get to the end? Like I'm really hoping that this doesn't end. Jon, like Lord of the Rings, right? So basically like Aragorn marries what's her name? Oh, what's her name? Eowyn? No, there's so many names. I know that's the wrong name. The elf chick. Marries the elf chick and they live happily ever after and he's king, da da da. Dragons flying around and everyone's happy and cheering. That would be the worst ending ever. Like I've always said that like for this ending to really work and to be good, it has to focus less on, I guess, the main characters and more on like the broader themes and idea. All right, which is the feudal system needs to die, and which is like man needs to rebalance itself with nature. And I feel like it's about so much more than Jon and Dany that they almost don't matter, right? They're kind of just avatars, just like figureheads. They're like what really matters is like the wider scope in the grand scheme of things and how Westeros is changed from this great struggle and how humanity as a whole is changed from this struggle. That's the way I feel about it. So it almost doesn't even matter whether they live or die. But I can almost see them going like the really Hollywood route where they both live. But if I had to guess, and if I had to put one thing forward, what I think they're going to do, if they killed one of them, it would be Dany, because Jon's not going to die again. But they could also kill both of them, which I think is less likely, or they could both live, right? So I think most likely either they both live or Dany dies, Jon lives on. Yeah. But ultimately, I think that what really should be the focus and what should matter in the end is how what happened changed Westeros. Because if this ends and we don't get like a pan out and this is what happened subsequently, this is what happened afterwards, this is where if it just ends and it doesn't if everyone that's dead needs to die and just like it ends with the battle or whatever, and we don't get a this is what happened afterwards, I feel like it would just kind of be like a slap in the face to like George R. Martin's whole thing, because he hates not explaining what's going on. He often says in The Lord of the Rings when he doesn't hear about like what happened, what was like Aragorn's tax policy or what happened to the remaining orcs and da 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 da. Like I feel like we need to know this stuff and we need to get some hint at how Westeros was changed and how the whole of Westeros reacted to the White Walkers. Because we still haven't seen that, right? Because we haven't seen how the common people, I want to see how the common people react to knowing that there are White Walkers coming. Have they kept it under wraps? Or like, what's going on there, right? You know what I mean? Because I've always said that the most impactful thing for me wouldn't be like Jon and Dany getting together and saving the world, but it would be the actual people of Westeros standing up and fighting for themselves and knowing that they have to protect themselves against the incoming death, the incoming darkness, right? That's how I feel about it. I feel like that should be the focus. You know what I mean? Thank you. Westeros must change. Therefore, this is why Jon sitting on the throne is not important. Honestly, I don't think the throne is important. I know there's so much focus on who's sitting on the Iron Throne again, and I'm just like sitting here like, guys, that does not matter. It does not matter. Like think about Dany in the House of the Undying in the show, where the Red Keep is pretty much destroyed, and there's snow falling through. Like the throne does not matter. Let me answer the super chat. Zombie Cat kills Dany. Brienne kills Zombie Cat. Jon kills Zombie Dany. Wow. Now that would be a twist. That would be a definite twist. True, A Song of Ice and Fire is an anti-war tale. Yeah, it certainly is. That's why like this whole thing about this ending with an epic battle kind of rubs me the wrong way too. I'm hoping that. See, my thought was even maybe they can get the battle stuff out of the way. Maybe the Winterfell thing can be the big, big, giant battle. And then maybe like the last couple episodes are a little bit stranger and a little bit more cerebral and a little bit more of my favorite word, esoteric, right? And a little bit, out there. Maybe we could have some stuff involving Bran. I've always wanted to see kind of a mental link, like a mental like kind of communication or kind of back and forth between Bran and the Night King. Like let's say they both enter into that ethereal realm through which Bran can view the past and view like other realms of existence or whatever, blah blah. Maybe they both enter that ethereal realm at the same time, and then they can. Bran, who's a lot wiser now, comes face to face with the Night King, and they kind of duke it out mentally. So it's like a mental battle. I feel like that would be very, very interesting if they could do it well. Um, and it'd be a little bit out there, I guess, for a mainstream audience. But I think something like that could be rather interesting, more so than like battle, battle, battle. I feel like, and that's the way, because like, how else are we gonna get stuff from the Night King? Like, I don't want the Night King to walk up to Jon. Like, if they do the moment where it's like the Night King walks up to Jon grabs him by the throat or something, and they give us like an exposition moment, like this is why I'm doing this, and this is why I'm about to kill you, before someone comes up behind him with like a sword and stabs him or something. That'd be. Don't give me that. I would rather learn about the Night King through like a weird type deal. Let's see. Got some super chats. Boobs and butts. Whose do we see this season? These are important questions. I feel like, actually, as the seasons have gone on, we've gotten less and less boobs and butts as stuff's gone on, so maybe no ones. I'm sure we'll see a few. Okay. Henrik G says, after seeing the trailer, I worry about a too cheesy and cute ending. To me, Bittersweet is very dark ending. Your take? Yeah, we all talk about George R. Martin's planned bittersweet ending, and yeah, I don't want a cutesy ending. Please don't give us a cutesy ending. Please give us something that the ending of this series should make you think. It should be something that you don't stop thinking about for a while. It should be something that sticks with you. It should be something that impacts you emotionally. All right? I'm not here. I was never here for Marvel, The Avengers Part 2, where I know everything's going to be fine in the end and everyone's going to get brought back to life and whatever the fuck. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Who gives a shit? Like, I hate. The problem for me with Marvel movies is that they lack all of their fight scenes lack tension. Nothing ever matters because nothing ever matters, right? Everything lacks tension. With Game of Thrones, I feel like they can add weight to this, right? And this is the perfect season too because we don't know who's going to die. And then beneath that tension, they can pull off something deep and meaningful and impactful, right? And I'm not saying that like Marvel movies are shit or anything like that. I like them, but it's like at the end of the day, Captain America's not gonna die. So it's like you know what I mean. Just hope the series doesn't have an ending like Dexter. Honestly, I stopped watching Dexter like the last season. Like after his sister found out about his whole thing, I was like, oh, it's got lame. And it's kind of never finished Dexter. Jon becoming the new Night King. That'd be so weird. That'd be so weird, but cool. Like if this season told, I'm saying, give me a weird ending. Give me a weird ending that's gonna make people talk, and that's gonna upset people, and that's gonna disturb people, and that's gonna exhilarate people. It needs to do all those things. Give me something messed up that people don't see coming. Like okay, the Night King walks up to Jon, and he's like, "It's time for you to take my place." And he like takes off his horns, puts them on Jon's head. Jon turns to the new Night King, and the Night King melts. And then Jon takes his army of the dead and goes back north, and that's the end of Game of Thrones. I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of like a little bit strange, but like give me something weird. Don't give me basic bitch shit. Game of Thrones should be beyond the basic bitch shit. You know, I've been watching American Gods, right, and that show is so weird, right? It's so freaking weird the way they interpret like the metaphors and like watching it, there's weight behind everything that you're seeing. And I feel like Game of Thrones has so much potential. And Game of Thrones really, really, really pushed what made television good. It really like pushed television, I think, into like a new era where it's like, okay, it raised the bar. Breaking Bad raised the bar, and Game of Thrones raised the bar. So now television has moved into the golden age. And so Game of Thrones, I feel like, has gotten like Apple at this point, where it's like, since we raised the bar, it's kind of like we can slouch now. We can just make everything stylish, but like everything else kind of sucks. It's like, yeah. The Night King yanks out the piece out of his chest and throws it at Jon and says, "You can't kill me, I quit." Oh, last scene. Who's in it? Who's in the last scene? Well, okay. I'm thinking Samwell. Thinking Samwell for the last scene. Because honestly, guys, another reason I think Samwell is probably going to live is Samwell is George R. R. Martin. Come on. Samwell is George. Come on. That's who George R. R. Martin is. George R. R. Martin wrote himself into the series, and that character is Samwell. So that's why I feel like Sam is going to be the character at the end that's writing down the Song of Ice and Fire. That's going to be him. He's telling the story. He's passing it on. He's passing this legend on. Yeah. They should have passed the bar to someone and let HBO get 10 seasons of proper Game of Thrones. HBO wanted it. Like, they can never say that D&D have to take responsibility for this. Because HBO wanted more seasons, George R. R. Martin had more sourced material, so they could have kept it going, but it's a little bit of cockiness, a little bit of arrogance, I think. A little bit of territorialism. They kind of felt territorial over Game of Thrones, like we don't want anyone else to have this, you know. But we get what we get, and honestly, Game of Thrones still is one of the most groundbreaking television shows ever. Like you can't question that. Thank you for your super chat, B-Dog. Ayala. I'm so bad at names. Sam and Tyrion have bits of George R. R. Martin, yeah. George R. R. Martin likes to say that like I think George R. R. Martin stated that Tyrion was his favorite character, yeah. If Jon/Throne isn't important, then why is his heritage the focus of Bran's training? That's a good point. That's a good point. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out. There could be other reasons. I'm not sure why it is in the show, but there could be other reasons. We'll see. We will definitely see. That's a good point, though. But like it could be a red herring. Because I've always thought that the destruction of the Iron Throne would be thematically the most. I thought it would be brilliant thematically, the dismantling of it. Like, because what it really is like, it is a symbol of unity, but it's also a symbol of kind of oppression. It's a symbol of the wheel that turns and turns and turns and crushes the common folk beneath it. So I feel like, and I've brought this idea before, and people have said, "Oh, that's too political." This is a very political series, and George R. R. Martin himself is a very political man. Like, he's making political statements throughout this entire thing. When the character Varys says in book 1, when he says to Ned, "You High Lords play your Game of Thrones, and who suffers?" You know, I I often say that who always gets the worst out of all this? Who always gets the worst deal? It's not the Targaryens. It's not the Lannisters. It's not the Starks even. It's not the Martells. It's not any of them. Not the Ironborn. It's not any of them. It's the common folk. It's the people in the Riverlands that are having their villages burned. It's the people that are starving in the winter. It's the people that are suffering greatly because of the wars of the High Lords, right? So I think George R. R. Martin is making a statement on the negative aspects of the feudal system. I feel like it's not just about, oh, just like a fantasy story. Like, it's all this weaved in together. He's talking about the problems with humanity, the problems in certain societal structures. He's talking about the problems with power, having too much power. He's talking about the problems with having too much sway over nature. That's what the White Walkers represent. Like, kind of nature coming back and saying, "I'm taking back what's mine," right? Because we talk about, I guess, in the book, the great dying because of mankind, like the unicorns and lions and all this stuff died out. The giants and the children when mankind got there, because mankind drastically changed Westeros so much. The first thing they do when they get there is start chopping down trees. You don't think that's metaphoric? It's not even metaphorical. It's right on the nose. George R. R. Martin's a big hippie. All right, so Shannon Thompson says, George R. R. Martin said we wouldn't know past secrets at the end of the show/book. They cast Wyla, but what are your and Starfall thoughts? What is TOJ? I'm a little off there. Could comment on extra credits analysis of Dune. It does not seem well thought out. Oh, does it? I haven't watched them, but I've been seeing them pop out on my feed. I don't want to criticize them. But what is SOJ? What is SOJ? Does anyone know what that is? Yeah, I don't watch a lot of other creators' stuff on Dune, except Comic Book 19. I'm trying to figure out what SOJ, TOJ is. Does anyone know? That's super chat. Let me look at that again. TOJ and Starfall thoughts. Tower. Oh, okay. So you meant to say Tower of Joy. See, the Tower of Joy, it's... I don't talk about it a lot because it's something that's been covered to death, right? And honestly, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to answer that question, right? Because it's something that the fandom has always been kind of divided about. It's something that it's like just it calls in so much speculation. You can speculate endlessly on what went down in there with Lyanna and Ned, but at the end of the day, we don't really know enough to say anything definitive. And I know the show gives us a certain narrative. It's telling us that this specific thing happened, but I mean, at the end of the day, we can't know. What always confused me in the show was the naming of Jon Snow, Aegon, which just, it makes me think that something in the book might be slightly different, just because Jon's name is Aegon. But yeah. I don't know. Tower of Joy, yeah, I got it. I'm not, you gotta be straightforward. I hate, I like the acronyms. I don't like acronyms, except unless it's the regular Song of Ice and Fire acronym. Other acronyms, stupid. Yeah, my chat is way behind for some reason. Isn't it always, though? Who knows? Oh, that's cool. Oh, Alan Penny, that's cool. Bran keeps changing what happened at the Tower of Joy. That's an interesting concept to go into. The idea of time travel, and I always brag about this because that season when they revealed the Bran time travel thing, right? I was so ready to post in a song. I was in the process of researching and writing in a Song of Ice and Fire theory, where I was going to talk about how Bran could alter the past. But then that happened, and then like a million theories went up, so I just never posted that video. But that is evident in the book. It's very clear that Bloodraven is manipulating Bran here in the book because it's like Bran calls out to his father hears, Bloodraven tells him that it's just the wind on the trees or whatever, it's like the ruffling of the leaves. And then later in that same chapter, I find it interesting that George R. R. Martin used this language too. He says, Bran didn't remember falling asleep. What does that indicate to you? Like the second time he went to sleep, it says, Bran didn't remember falling to sleep. So it's like, was he warged? Did Bloodraven put him to sleep? And then that time, when he's seeing what Bloodraven is showing him, forcing him to see, he calls out to his father, and his father doesn't hear. And then he's also shown a bunch of other stuff. So it's like, the way I interpret that scene was that, yes, Bran called out to Ned. Yes, Ned heard him in the past. Bloodraven tried to cover it up and tell Bran that he couldn't actually do that. For some reason, could have been malicious, maybe it wasn't malicious, but so that's definitely going on. So I wonder what role that could have like later well in this season. Is Bran going to be going back and manipulating things in the past? Is Bran really time traveling Bran? Bran the Builder, is he all these Brans from history like some people have maybe thought? I don't know if it'll be that on the nose, but it's interesting to think about. And I wonder to what extent he can actually change things, because he definitely screwed over Hodor. But it seems, my thing about it though, is that it seems like the rules in A Song of Ice and Fire is that time is circular. Because you look at the way the Hodor thing went down, all this time, Hodor said, Hodor, he was like this all this time. So it's kind of like Game of Thrones is using lost time travel rules, where it's like, what happened, happened. Everything that it gets kind of timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, but everything that's happened has already happened. So like Bran can't really change anything, right? He can only make things happen that were already meant to happen. Like that Hodor thing had already happened. Like nothing really changed in the present because it already happened. So it's a timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, but basically what happened happened, right? Time travel rules, depending on what time travel you're looking at, it's always different, but it seems like that's the way it works here. So I don't see Bran going back and like killing the Night King or something like that. I don't see Bran going back and like saving Ned or doing any of that stuff because it didn't happen. So you see what I mean, guys? That's how I feel about that. What happened, happened. And I feel like it's a good rule because it saves you from getting like caught in some of those like time travel plot holes, right? Bran can only fulfill his destiny, exactly. Northerners working with the White Walkers against Dany on the show and the Children of the Forest on the book. Possible? Not possible? I don't. I don't think the Northerners are going to work with the White Walkers, right? The Northerners know better, more than anyone, to fear the White Walkers, right? Because the Northerners dealt with them kind of like firsthand. So they're the blood of the first men. So they, more than anyone, their traditions, I feel like a lot of them are probably rooted in what they went through in the long night, right? A lot of it stemmed from that. Daenerys' wig costs like 3,000. Rhaegar's wig was like $10 in his shows. That is hilarious. Oh yeah, let's talk about that Rhaegar. Talk about that Rhaegar. God dang it! Like you talk about how handsome Rhaegar was, and then you just make him look like a downgraded version of Viserys. He's like what? Rhaegar's supposed to be like the super hot Viserys, not like not the couple of steps below Viserys. Like Viserys' is rejected little brother. Like come on, come on, come on now, casting people. What is going on with you guys? Get it together. I saw someone say that Wyla was cast. That'd be interesting because Wyla was Jon's wet nurse. So that's interesting. Secrets unveiled. I'm curious to see exactly what's unveiled in this season, if anything. Because I know they said for a while that the show and the book would end up on the same place, but then I know there was like some stuff where people were saying like they don't know if the show is going to spoil the books or not, and they've diverged so much that it's almost like impossible that they can like end up in the same place. So it's like, we'll see. Peter Griffin says that he should have played Rhaegar. Yeah. Night King is an ancient Andal king. Interesting. Andal king. Interesting. So you don't think he's one of the first men? I've heard people suggest he was a Stark, like old Nan suggested her story. What are your thoughts about Littlefinger is alive theory, or have you heard it? There's a Littlefinger is alive theory? I mean, didn't we watch him bleed to death? I don't understand how he would still be alive. And no, I don't think he's still alive. I think they're done with Littlefinger. Because honestly, how many episodes is season 6, 7? They don't have time, especially if there's I think there's 6, right? So if there's 6 episodes, I don't want to waste any time on Littlefinger showing back up for no reason, just to be probably killed again. Like I don't need we don't need any more Littlefinger. Littlefinger died when he was supposed to die in, as far as like where the show was going. Collab with Preston Wynn. I don't have a collaboration with Preston Jacobs planned. Never even spoken to Preston Jacobs, actually. Never even spoken to the guy. Oh, so you're saying that there's actually a convincing theory that suggests Littlefinger is alive? I don't know about this, guys. I don't know about this. I don't think he's out there. I don't know. But we'll see. Maybe I'll check that out. Maybe I'll check that out later if I have time. But I don't personally see it. I don't know why they would do that, because I have to think about it in terms of like Game of Thrones being a show that just normal people watch. It's no longer just like fantasy nerds that watch this. No one wants to see Littlefinger again. No one wants that. Like Littlefinger is from a bygone era of the show. Littlefinger is from an era of the show when it was about intrigue and betrayal and what's this guy planning? The show's not about that anymore. That's why Varys sucks now. Like, because the show's not about that anymore. Oh, speaking of death, Varys, obviously. But Melisandre actually said that last season, so yeah, Varys is gone. Yeah, and Varys is dying this season for the same reason that Littlefinger died this season, because they've moved on from that part of the show. That no longer matters. Varys no longer matters. Characters like that no longer matter, right? And it's one of the reasons that Qyburn is dying. Qyburn, he'll have probably like one last hurrah. I'm hoping that he does something interesting, because I know last season he was like looking at that He was. Let me go to Qyburn. Last season, he was like looking at that hand, the White Walker hand. So I'm hoping that he goes and studies it, maybe like figures out something that can like fight them better, even. Who knows what? Like use him. He's got all these weird skills. So you have to wonder what do all his weird skills culminate to, right? Is his big thing just the mountain? So he obviously has knowledge of life and death better than in most other maesters, right? That's why he was kicked out, because he did experiments on people when they were alive. So Qyburn might cook something up that can help against the White Walkers. And I don't trust any of the actors when they say, "Oh, this is gonna be so great," because I remember what season was. I think it was season 6, where like one of the actors was like, "Oh my God, when I first read the script, I knew that people were gonna be like, oh my God, I can't believe Game of Thrones is doing this. It's so amazing. Every episode is so big and grand and wonderful." I'm just like, "You're full of shit. They're fucking full of shit. Full of it." They were so full of it, so I don't. So whenever the actors are like, "Oh, this is gonna be great and groundbreaking," and like, "Oh, this is such an awesome scene," I never trust it. So, and you shouldn't either. You should never trust what actors say about a project that they're in, right? Especially if they're like blowing it too hard. You know, you can trust Harrison Ford when he talks about Star Wars. Like okay. So I didn't notice this before because I'm not like a Star Wars person, but like I was watching Donica, Comic Book Girl 19, and she was talking about Star Wars for some reason, and she was like, "You should like watch these." She was telling people to watch the Harrison Ford Star Wars interviews, and it's just like they're so hilarious because he just clearly hates Star Wars so much. He clearly does not want anything to do with it. He's clearly just like fuck you, give me money, I'll be in one of your movies, and then just screw off forever. So it's clearly he clearly does not care. He's clearly not passionate about it. So it's so funny how he just can't hide it. He cannot pretend to be excited about Star Wars. He's just like fucking fuck off. So funny. That's really funny. But yeah, these Game of Thrones people, like you can't trust them. You can't trust them because they're always going to say that it's great, and even if it's not, even if it's like bottom of the barrel. But then who am I? Like I say, I'm just some dude. You think the Golden Company switches sides for Jon once his identity is revealed? Once he's revealed as a Targaryen? I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, the way those contracts work, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Stonefinger, the necromancer, child of If and Catelyn, will emerge in season 8. Okay, who's If? How do I feel about feature-length episodes? Well, I saw them. They were like 60 minutes, and like 80 minutes, and then some of them were like 80 minutes, 85. I don't know, something like that. So that's cool. I'm totally down for the longer episodes. Please don't give me filler. Please don't give me scenes of Sam shoveling around literal shit. We can do without that. That'd be great. Uh, that'd be absolutely great if you don't give us that. Give us some meaningful stuff. Give us tie the loose ends out. Give us those character interactions that we need. Give us those epic cinematic moments that we need. Give us the revelations that we need. Yeah, give us some direwolf moments, man. Come on. If you're not, come on. We need see what we need. We need direwolves. We need Arya's wolf and her pack. Come on, we got to do this just once, even if it's like a couple like split seconds that cut in with the pack running in the distance or something. Come on, we can do this. We need ice spiders. Come on, first season, spiders big as hounds. It's one of the first old man that's so memorable. We need ice spiders. Come on, we can do it. We can do this. You guys got all this money. It's the last season. Come on. Come on. Oh, the grayscale. Oh, that grayscale thing. That grayscale thing was upsetting because it's like it didn't make any sense. Didn't make any sense. It's not the way grayscale works, and just whatever. Fuck you, Game of Thrones people. Fuck you. It's one of the. You guys remember me bitching about this like two years ago, like last season, right? About the grayscale thing. Like that was so dumb. Grayscale, one of the deadliest, most viral diseases ever that can just like you can catch it so easily just by like touching someone. Sam has no experience as a physician, reads it in a book once. A procedure that's outlawed because it's too dangerous, cures him, and he heals in one night, and they just let him go after one night. They don't even quarantine him for a few days to see if he comes back, or just so stupid. That's one of the things I feel like it's insulting my intelligence. I'm just like, you're insulting my intelligence. You're insulting my intelligence. But what's the point of grayscale? The point of it is that it's a deadly disease. That's the point. But the point is, you don't just give somebody grayscale and then just like have them magically cure it in a night. And it might as well, like Sam, it might as well have waved a magic wand and it would have been just as believable. I mean, come on. Especially when it's been built up like so far, like oh, grayscale is deadly. If this comes back, it's such a horrible thing. And then we don't even know what's going to happen with Cunnington in the book with his grayscale, because like in the show it's Jorah. So I'm thinking that they planned something else for this. They were going to go in a different direction, but then it was another one of those things where they were just like screw it, and they just came up with like this joke solution, right? So we have no idea where this is going to go in the book. Like this could spell disaster for I know the name of this place. Old Town. This could spell disaster for Old Town in the book. Like this could. So we'll see. We'll see. Will John Cunnington appear? You know, that would almost be. I think it would be cool if the guy on the ship was John Cunnington. You know, instead of Harry Strickland. Be a nice little mix around of things, right? Because like I said, when I initially saw that, when I did my reaction, I just, for some reason, I just saw that and I went, Brienne! This is my first time seeing it and it was going by really quick, so I went, Brienne! But like a lot of people were like, oh, that's not Brienne, it's clearly the Golden Company. And when I looked at it, and I was like, oh yeah, obviously, they're literally on the ship. But yeah, I would say that could be John Connington though. You know, I'm not like a YouTuber that like looks at all the casting crap for Game of Thrones and like looks at all. I don't know who's been casted, so it's just kind of like. But we'll see. Howland Reed would be a good. It'd be cool to see Howland Reed finally. If we see Mira again, you know, throw in Howland Reed. You said, "Do I have a shrine to Cersei in the back?" It's not a shrine. It's not a shrine to Cersei. How is it a shrine to Cersei? There's a painting of Cersei, and then there's Cersei of the Night King. It's a great painting, right? I got that at Con of Thrones last year. You know, it's nice. And I don't know if you guys can see my. I've got Dany. She's on Drogon. And I've got Rhaegal and Viserion right there. You see that? You know, this is not always right. I decided, like, since I got the live stream, I've got some shelves that are coming, and I've also got some of those, like, foam sound things to put in this room. Finish, like, filling it out. Do I love Cersei? I said in the beginning of this that I do like Cersei a lot in the show. In the book, not as much, but Lena Headey, I feel like, kind of stole my heart as Cersei. She's really, really great, I think. She's really great. They look like candles. That's hilarious. Yeah, Cersei definitely kind of like fills that evil queen trope. Cersei is kind of like a twist on that evil queen kind of trope almost, isn't she? Hello, quick question. Do you see any similarities between Jon and Paul Atreides? I mean, yeah, there are definitely some similarities. They both feel the hero's journey archetype, obviously, but I see more similarities between Bran and Paul Atreides, actually. And of course, if you haven't watched my Dune videos, Paul Atreides is the main character from Dune. You see my Dune books in the background, obviously. Dude, I saw the video where you said the media hype is killing the show because everyone's making videos about predictions of the last season. Well, yeah. Well, I'm making one live stream, doing one live stream. Like my thing was, if I remember correctly in that video, it was just like the overkill of it all. Like it was like I'm not gonna make a 10-minute video on like a 2-second clip of like Sansa saying like 3 words to Daenerys. That was the point. It wasn't that I wasn't gonna talk about the show. I always talk about the show every single season. So, that's more where I was getting at there, you know what I'm saying? Hmm. The white that was promised. White Sir Pounce. Oh, yeah, the cat died, didn't he? I remember reading about the cat, Sir Pounce, passed on. Very, very sad. Book Cersei is stupid and super evil. I don't know if she's necessarily stupid. I feel like she's very arrogant. She's too arrogant. That's her problem. She's too arrogant and paranoid. That's the main problem. Duncan and Jon seem a better comparison. I would agree with that. Hmm. Yep, I can agree with that, definitely. Paul Atreides is best known as father to God Emperor Leto. Actually, technically, in the Dune universe, he is. That's the interesting thing about Dune is that it spans over such a long time. Like by the time that you're in like Chapter House, like Paul Atreides is like a footnote in history. Seriously, like because it's like Leto's influence was so great. Paul Atreides is like some guy back in the day. Oh, that's the cares about that dude. All that matters is the God Emperor. And in Dune, actually, later on, it's not even common knowledge among just like regular people that the God Emperor is even Atreides. That's not even common knowledge. Like people don't even like really know. He's just the God Emperor, and it's been like that for thousands of years. So that's super interesting. I often think about A Song of Ice and Fire, and let's say like 500 years after the end, where will they be as far as legends and like who will remember who and for what reasons? Like I can see, I've always said that I can see Daenerys as kind of being like deified, even like thought of as a god, because she's done so many things that seem mythical and fantastical. Um, she's definitely that savior archetype. Hmm. Cersei is not as bad as Queen Dany, to be honest. Wildfire is a limited resource, while Dragonfire is not. Well, my thing is Cersei is far more ill-intentioned. I feel like Dany wants to help people. Dany wants to do the right thing for the kingdom and the people, ultimately, at her core. She might stray from the path here and now, but I think ultimately she's a good person. And I think at the end of the day, Cersei's not a great person. Cersei's not a good person. She doesn't want to help people. She only really cares about herself, and yeah, true. Dany will have the Aegon reputation, if not even more so, because Aegon didn't fight the White Walkers. So you got the Queen that rose from nothing in the East, freed a bunch of slaves, totally changed Dothraki culture, changed the culture of Slaver's Bay, and then went off to Westeros and saved the world from White Walkers. Like that's legendary. Like that's like she's already borderline worshipped by the freed slaves of the East and by the Dothraki. Give that some time, and that's a religion. That is a religion. And they already call her Misa, which means mother, which already has very religious undertones, obviously. So, yeah, I could see Dany being worshipped in the future, being martyred. If she dies, I feel like that's definitely happening. Jon Snow staring at the werewood. I wonder if he's praying here. Maybe this is the end of the show. Maybe this is the end. And the tree's still standing and he's talking to Bran. Maybe Bran took himself to the tree before he died, and he's inside the tree. And Jon's having one last conversation with his little brother Bran. I haven't talked about Tyrion much. Ultimately, I think Tyrion's going to die. I think I mentioned that in the beginning, that I think Tyrion's going to die. Oh. And yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot to look forward to in this. I'm just curious to see how they end it all, how it all. Man, these dragons look good though. I'm curious to see how they wrap it all up. I'm curious to see how this scene looks really badass with Jaime. It looks like Jaime, one hand, still killing it. Or is that Brienne? Is that Brienne? I can't tell if that's Brienne or Jaime, like right there. I wonder what's going on there. That scene looks pretty epic. Someone's dying in this scene. Who's that behind him? Someone's definitely dying in that scene, though. We'll see. Gendry back in the mix. We haven't even talked about Theon either. Theon. I say Theon lives. Theon lives. Or he might die. If Theon dies, then I feel like his sister Yara is going to live, and then she'll probably rule the Iron Islands. Probably where that's going. Euron's dead. I could see Theon killing Euron, actually. I could see the show going there and having Theon do the deed. You can actually tell which dragon is which this season. Can you? I have to look at them better. Because, like, usually in the other seasons, they've always been the same character model, so I could be totally wrong. Yeah, so I'm thinking Theon dies and Yara lives. Yeah, Theon dies redeeming himself. That's what I'm thinking. That's where it's leaning for me. Theon or Yara, because I'm thinking that Yara they're gonna need someone that people are already familiar with to go back and rule the Iron Islands, and I feel like Euron's not gonna be the one, obviously. So Theon kills Euron, I'm thinking, and then Yara rules, and then Theon dies, killing Euron, killing his uncle, and then saves Yara, and Yara goes on. So that's what I'm seeing happening there. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. Who else haven't I talked about yet? Talk about all the main people. We know it's going. Let's see, Melisandre. Melisandre is an interesting one because I'm wondering. We know she's going to Volantis, to the temple where the other Red Priest lived. So I wonder what she's going to be doing. Is she gathering information, or is she gathering priests to come fight with her? Because, I mean, in the coming darkness, I mean, fire priest, that's kind of useful. You got people that can manipulate fire and do fire magic. That's kind of useful. She wasn't in the trailer, so that's curious. That's curious. So I'm wondering if she's going to have like that moment where she shows up in the end and she's got the other Red Priest, and it's like, got Red Priest together, more than one. That'd be interesting, because we've already got Kinvara, who they might show again. So, like, this is their last opportunity. Melisandre's going to Volantis. They already backed Daenerys, so it's like, if they find out about the White Walkers are coming. Let's go to Westeros and help. What else are they going to do? Can't do much from all the way in Volantis. So maybe she's going to recruit some more Red Priest. Bring in the fiery hand, exactly. The fiery hand of R'hllor. Yes, she's definitely coming back to die. But she might as well die, you know, doing some good stuff, doing like one last magical deed. I'm wondering if she'll take off her ruby and show everyone what she really looks like, you know. Iron Sabbath Priest. If we see Moqorro, I will lose it. I'll freaking lose it. I'll freaking lose it if Moqorro shows up. It would almost be too perfect, right? Like, it's the perfect time to do it. Like, you got other Red Priests that you want to bring to Westeros. It'd be so awesome, right? It would just be like such a present to book fans. Present to me specifically, because I really dig Moqorro. Certainly. Alright, guys. So, yeah, April 14th, guys, and like I said, I'll be reviewing every single episode, as I always have, as I've been doing since started this channel. And I think it's about time we wrap things up, get out of here. It's been great. If you've enjoyed the stream, feel free to leave a like. It always really helps out when you guys show support through clicking the thumbs up button. Also, check me out on Patreon. Follow me on Twitter. I'm always tweeting about stuff on there. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'll be reviewing every episode. Check out some of my other videos. And these reviews, when I get to the episodes this season, I'm planning on being very analytical. I'm thinking 20 minutes an episode, getting into the nitty-gritty, really breaking them down. Also providing criticisms if I need to. I'm sure I'll provide some criticisms, but I'll provide the ones that I think are necessary. I won't. I think I'm going to take a more balanced approach and try to be as unbiased as possible when I'm reviewing the episodes this time. I'm going to try and be neutral and just really, do a good job. Do a really good job. I'm not gonna, hold anything back, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. A lot of things planned coming on in the future with A Song of Ice and Fire. I've got a Stannis Baratheon debate / podcast coming up with Gray Area and Brandon Beefish. That's happening later this month. I've got a Maegor Targaryen debate with Order of the Green Hand coming up. I'm on the side of Maegor was kind of a jerk. They're on the side of maybe he was kind of misrepresented by the faith, not the faith, but the Maesters. So that's happening, and then I've got another podcast episode coming up, and I've got a lot of fun things. And then also, this is the month, and I'll be posting a teaser to this on Twitter. This is the month of Ultimate Guide to Heretics of Doom. So everyone that's been waiting on that, it's happening, and I'll be posting a teaser on Twitter, so make sure you follow me on there. So yeah, that's gonna be great. Dune. Heretics of Dune is, of course, the penultimate book in the Dune series. And things get crazy. We focus on the Bene Gesserit sisterhood, and we get to see the inner workings of the sisterhood. It's really nuts. So that's happening. What mic am I using? I'm using, what's this thing? I'm using a Samson Pro mic thingamajig. So yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for watching and sticking through the stream. Peace out, guys. It's been great. And I'll see you guys on the flip side.